Welcome to Bridging the Gap, Law, Therapy, and Justice.
Welcome to Bridging the Gap, Law, Therapy, and Justice with Caitlin Burgess. I'm Caitlin Burgess. I'm an attorney and licensed marriage and family therapist. On this show, we explore the intersection of law, therapy, and forensic practice, especially when children are under stress due to high conflict divorce. Today, I am joined again by Virginie Goldstein, a licensed marriage and family therapist. Virginie is the founder of the Tech Connect Reset in the San Francisco Bay Area. Virginie works with children, adolescents, and families to address problematic screen use and strengthen the parent-child connection, especially in situations of divorce. In this episode, we are focusing on what parents can actually do to reduce screen dependence and create more stability for their children, especially during times of high conflict divorce and other family transitions related to divorce. Virginie, welcome. It is so great to have you again. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin, for having me for this episode number 12. And Caitlin, we've known each other for over 7 years now, and we have been collaborated on court cases a few times. And I wanted to really thank you for hosting me today. And Caitlin has been an amazing therapist and lawyer who is helping children and families to go through those high divorce conflicts, and separation can be very difficult. And Caitlin is an amazing person. You're very genuine, very caring with each family, and you're very ethical and professional. So I really enjoy, working with you and knowing you for that so many years now.
Of course. And I'm really grateful for you to be here. And you're also doing tremendous work with high conflict families, and especially as it relates to screen addiction. I know you've presented recently, I think, at a conference in Chicago on some of your research around screen use. So really looking forward to I think you were writing a paper, weren't you? Are you writing a paper on it, or did you just present?
I wrote a paper, so I put a research together over the data I have from the clinic since between 2021 to 2025, and on a method I put together, a protocol I put together to treat children who be diagnosed with ADHD and screen addiction. It shows the parents' involvement, and it also does show that some of the reason why the protocol doesn't work is because lack of involvement from the parents. And a lot of time, the reason why the protocol didn't work was because parents were not on the same page. And many times it was also because those parents were separated, or they were in the middle of separation, and it was very difficult to have them being involved in the treatment.
Let's get started here. So, Virginie, when parents are seeing screen use increase during a separation or divorce, what is the first change you would recommend that they implement?
I mean, for the parents, it's what we see increasing is that the first change we would recommend, it's really to continue to keep a connection with the child, because many times when parents are separating, the child is lost, and it's really about the attachment. And how do we, how you can help a child, to stay connected at least with one of the parents. It's really, again, focusing on communication and spending time with the child, and we're really working on talking about limits. We can talk about limits with the screen, but it's really more about, we cannot ask the kid to make to change some habits if the communication is broken. So we really have to the parents have to work on connecting with the child, communicating with the child, and really providing a secure attachment as much as possible, because this is a protective factors to ensure better transition during those divorces for the children.
Right. Child attunement, being spending time with your child. I can see how all of that would be so important.
Yes, and when I start doing the intake with families, the first question I ask is that, when was the last time you spent like 20 minutes with your child, connecting? And when I say connecting, it's not talking about, agenda or like screen rules or anything like that. It's more about just connecting, about the child needs and about like how they're feeling today, like about what was going on, with their own emotion for that, for that during that day.
Right. Focusing on your child and asking real questions. I can see how that would be an important piece here. And so I guess I also want to know, how important is it for co-parents who, share custody of their child, physical custody of their child, to have consistent expectations regarding screen use? So how important do you think that is?
I mean, during co-parenting, it's very important to, of course, it's very important to focus on the child well-being, and consistency is a form of safety, and which is it's very hard for parents to be consistent. It's one of the hardest things, but it's not impossible. So setting clear expectations, about the rules at home in both households, would really help the child to reduce their anxiety, and it's also going to reduce, their need to escape, the issues and go on the screen as a way to regulate. So I think it's very important for the parents to be consistent, and because also there is a lot of research showing that, children's, coming from like high conflict divorce or like family with a lot of problems, it's also shows that they're going to spend more time on the screen as well.
Interesting, and that would make sense to me. And I guess when parents don't fully agree on expectations around screen use or rules around screen use, how can they still create some level of consistency? Like, let's say mom thinks, I don't know, the child can use as much of they can use their screens as much as they want, and then the other parent, whether it's another mom or the dad, uh, doesn't think thinks there should be more stringent limits. Like, how do you work with families like that when there isn't consistency and they're not willing to work together and collaborate?
Yes, I'm thinking, and I understand like it's really hard for those families to collaborate, and understand there were a lot of pain during those separations, and before separation there were a lot of pain build up, so family have a very hard time to communicate. So what I would say is like I would focus on like the lowest common denominator, of agreements. How about we should try to focus on like something very simple? How about like no screen during dinner time for everyone? And how about no screen, in the bedrooms when the kids, is going to bed? So like, I understand like if the parents are divorcing and the child is already 16, 17 and has the habits to take their phone in the bedroom. So that's going to be hard to change that, But I think, we can reset, the baseline of, communication at home, and just maybe say, okay, maybe we just start with one rule, and maybe just about, no screen time for everyone during dinner time at both houses. I think it's possible to do that. Or even if they go to a restaurant together, like, maybe, okay, we are hanging out at the dinner time, at this nice restaurant. So let's not have let's not have phone on the table during that time.
How do you think parents can set limits around screens with their children without it becoming a power struggle between the parent and the child?
This is a good question about that, because a lot of time when I'm sure when you work with families, you're going to see different parenting style, right? And you will have some parents who are very permissive, and you will have some parents who are very strict, And I think, what the study shows is that, being an authoritative parent is that probably a warm and involved, parenting style, but also showing like boundaries, right? And I think that's the best, predictor to help the kids, to follow direction with the screen time. So it also means like we don't want to have a power struggle with the child. So you can be a parent who like wants to set rules, and be warm, and caring, but at the same time, you don't want to have a power struggle with the child saying like, I want you to do this. So let's work together. Let's involve the child, in the rules, let's say, okay, so, before bedtime, you're going to go to bed. So do you want to stop using your phone by 9 p.m. and do you want to put your phone, in a living room or in a kitchen, so like you give a child the opportunity to make a choice and set the rules together. So that's going to reduce the power struggle with the child. But also as a parent, we need to be, pretty clear and caring.
So taking a collaborative approach, giving the child some reasonable choices, and as the parent being clear and caring. Okay, great guidance there. So you talked a little bit before about boundary setting, maybe not having screens being used during dinner. What other types of boundaries can be effective? Like screen-free zones, for instance. I mean, can you talk about some other boundaries that are impactful?
That's one of my favorite topic about setting rules about the screen. So screen free zone is really important. And then I know, I know like the kids have a hard time to take a break from the screen, but I think parents have a hard time as well. I'm working in the Bay Area, in the middle of the Silicon Valley, in Cupertino, which is the headquarters of Apple. I work with a lot of engineers, and then the parents are coming to me and they're telling me, it's really, no, I have to work on my computer. I need my computer. It's 10 p.m., but I need my computer. And I'm like, if you want your child, to follow directions, and take a break from the screen, you also have to model the proper behavior as well. So screen free zone, it's very important. Part of my techniques I've been using, I use NET, N-E-T, no electronic time. And so this no electronic time, the NET, can be set up like 1 hour a day. And like I said, maybe around dinner time. So everybody is going to take a break from the screen, parents included. So it's not about just the child. Hey, sweetie, no screen time during dinner. It's like everyone. And me, I'm an engineer. I know I have a lot of work to do. I'm a manager. I have a lot of responsibilities, but I'm going to make the efforts to take a break from my screen as well, because I need to be with my family and I need to connect. And this is very powerful for everyone.
So I guess the other question I want to know here is, how do you think a parent, you talked a little bit about this before, but I sort of want to revisit it. I want to know how a parent can strengthen their relationship with their child or children naturally and reduce the reliance on the screens, as a form of coping or connection. So what guidance do you give parents around connecting with your child in natural ways? I know you spoke to some of that earlier, but I do want to revisit it a little.
Yeah, like we talked about, before, it's like, so most of the studies show like, like insecure attachments, makes the behavior worse on the children. So, so I think it's important to really think about the connection. And the connection, it doesn't have to be an elaborated plan, like, okay, so let's go like hiking for 6 hours. Like the child is going to say no to that. So I think we want to really focus on like, something very natural and like connecting naturally in a natural way. It's like, try to pay attention to the child interest. And of course, if the child is like to spend like 5 or 6 hours playing video games, so maybe you can start connecting with the child by saying, can you show me the game you're playing? Can I try to play with you? It's also, asking the parents to be a little bit out of their comfort zone by trying to play, a video game with the child, even though they don't like it. So it has to be something very simple and like, start with very small connection that way.
What role do you think a parent's own screen use plays in their child's habits? So if a child sees their parent on their phone all the time, or not able to remove themselves from their own device, I mean, do you see that as really impacting the child, or do you not see a correlation?
Oh, this topic is enormous. I love this question. So, I mean, it's like, what is important? It's like, the parents' behavior is really influencing the child's behavior, right? And parents don't realize that. So before they tell the child what to do, they should maybe, look at their own behavior, right? So we have to remember that children don't do what we say, they do what they see, right? And so, and it's true, like, especially during divorce, when like family are more stressed, and they are more distracted. So they tend to also use the screen as a coping mechanism. When they go home, they're on the screen, maybe texting friends back, or like checking a website to see, ordering something on Amazon because they didn't have time to do that during the day. But like, modeling the behavior, it doesn't have to be a perfect behavior that we have to model, but it's mostly showing, being honest and like showing intention, like, I have the intention, to do better and to connect with you better and to improve, this relationship during this separation, right? So it's really about, the awareness of the parent's behavior that will influence the child behavior and help the child to make better choices in their life as well.
Right. They have to model the behavior they want to see in their own
Yes.
children. So, because children pick up on that on so many ways.
Yes. I have
Virg-
I'm doing some small, it's going to be published, and I'm doing some small TikTok and Instagram for parents and psychoeducation for parents. And one of our example is like when the parents comes home, the child is watching the parents, behavior. So like I would suggest the parents to go home, changing the habits and say, okay, I'm going to decompress, I'm going to take a shower and change clothes, and then I'll be right with you. And really showing the child that parents, how they manage their stress that way, we really help them, also to like monitor their behavior in a healthy way.
Excellent. Oh, I can't wait to see those. I think you said Instagram and TikTok videos on that subject. And Virginie, it was great to have you here with me today. That is it for today's episode of Bridging the Gap: Law, Therapy, and Justice. To learn more about my interdisciplinary practice in clinical, legal, and forensic work, you can visit CaitlinBurgess.com. And to learn more about Virginie's very meaningful work regarding screen use and screen addiction in children and adolescents at the Tech Connect Reset, a name I have always found to be so clever and interesting. Visit Virginie's website, techconnectreset.com. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like or subscribe or write a review and share this with others if you found this episode helpful.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.